So today is my last day of maternity leave.
She's literally just had a cesarean section. And you're telling me I'm not eligible for 2 weeks worth of pay?
That's not fair! That is not.
Maternity and paternity leave in America. Let's talk about it.
The reason why motherhood sucks in America is because America doesn't value families and communities. It values employees, workers, and spending money. Everything we do and all of the laws that we have are so that we work, spend money, and stay in that system. The reason why our maternity leave is only 90 days is so they can sell us formula. The reason why healthcare is attached to your job is so that you work. And guess what kids can't do? Work or spend money. So they're really of no value to society, which is why they feel so out of place anywhere you go. And the reason why people say, I don't want kids, is because they've been programmed since birth that the value of your life is to work and buy things and have a title. When really being a mother is the most magical thing that you can experience. But they don't want us to know that. They don't want us to know that.
Oh, baby. So if there's one thing that I love most in this world, in this life, is being a dad. And there's one thing I cherish the most about this life is spending time with my kids. Now, I remember when I had my son and when I had my daughter, that was one of the best moments of my life. Seeing them, my wife power through giving birth. Thank God I don't have to do that. Women, you are you're powerful people, I will say that. But no, like that was one of the most incredible moments. And one thing that hit me is one of these videos we're gonna watch today. I felt like I had to bring this to attention, right? Now obviously nothing's gonna change from my video, but I think this is a very, very important topic that doesn't get talked about enough. We here in American society, everything revolves around work, and in return, we're spending less time with our children because the value of spending time with your young kids, like we're seeing that as like, this isn't gonna last forever. It's not.
I love America. America sucks. We are the only country in the world other than Papua New Guinea who does not have paid maternity leave. Nobody cares about children. They care about the GDP and the bottom line, and the people who are out there talking about this stuff are economists saying women have to work for the economy. Nobody cares about children, because if we cared about children, our tax money would be in paid leave, not for 3 months, not for 6 months, for at least a year. Slovenia, Slovakia, Estonia has 3 years. Hungary, I think, has 2 years of paid leave. Sweden, I have some issues with Sweden, but Sweden has 14 months. Sweden, after 14 months, makes women go back to work full time and put them in institutional care, and all those babies are breaking down. So 14 months isn't even enough. In any way that we can give families the choice to care for their own children, particularly in the early years, we will create a population of healthier children. The longitudinal attachment research shows that children who are insecurely attached at 12 months of age, 20 years later, 80% of them are insecurely attached and suffer from mental disorders. For children to be mentally healthy in the future, you have to be physically and emotionally present for them throughout childhood, but particularly in the 2 critical periods of brain development, which are 0 to 3 and 9 to 25.
All right, let's think about this for a second, right? The house I'm living in, I have to pay tax to the government to basically live on the land that I supposedly own. When I go get overpriced groceries at Walmart or Aldi, I have to pay tax on the groceries. When I earn income from YouTube or from my job, I have to pay tax on that money earned. When I make money from an investment that I've made, I have to pay tax on that money. If someone gets an inheritance, you have to pay tax. When you buy a new car, you have to pay sales tax. All of this money that goes to the government every single day and yet we're not providing paid maternity and paternity leave. Make that make sense to me. It doesn't. It really doesn't, guys. Out of all the useless spending that our government does, how in the hell are we not getting, one, better health care, and two, paid maternity and paternity leave? Now, listen, I'm even on the side of like giving the men paternity leave because all the dads should be at home at the beginning stages of their kids' lives. They should be. The dad is a very important role in a kid's life, and he should be there at the beginning stages of that life. But I'm even okay with the dad not getting as much leave as the mom. I'm okay with that. You would think with all the money this government is receiving that we could have some sort of help. 3 months, 6 months, 12 months for a mom, whatever it is. We got to see more parents spending more time with their kids.
She's literally just had a cesarean section. And you're telling me I'm not eligible for 2 weeks worth of pay? Hello, is that Alan?
Hi, yeah,
Yeah, it's Dave. I've been in my account this morning and that money's still not dropped into my account. The paternity money. Yeah, I should have got 2 weeks worth of paternity money. Checked my bank this morning and it's not there.
No, I think you might have an error there. It will be 2 weeks. You have to have continual service to have been able to get that back.
What do you mean? I've had continual service since June.
No, mate, it won't work like that.
What are you talking about? I've been there since June. I've not missed a day's work. My wife, Sarah, she's literally just had a cesarean section.
Right.
And you're telling me I'm not eligible for 2 weeks worth of pay?
You've got to follow your contract, mate. If you read your contract...
Are you being serious, mate? I do everything that's required of me, and the only thing I'm asking you to do is follow the law.
Right, come on now, pal. Take this. I don't know what you want me to say to you, mate.
I don't want you to say anything. I want you to put the money in the account like you should.
Man, that is... I hate seeing that. I hate seeing that because most of the time, usually in videos, I would say, oh, like, let's just manage our money correctly and not have to worry about that. But the problem is, one, cost of living soaring high. Most of the time, the average age of couples having children are younger couples, so they don't have the time to get money saved up and to prepare and to be able to afford to take time off from work to spend time with their kids, especially in today's economy with how expensive everything is. So my typical argument of like, let's handle our money better doesn't work for a situation like this. That's why I thought it was a good opportunity to make this type of video, to discuss this, to bring awareness to this and say, this is something that should change and we should be looking out for younger parents having new kids and letting them spend those precious moments with their children instead of wasting all of the money that's being wasted by the government.
So one thing that's kind of crazy, and I think the US is the best country on earth, but the fact that we're so into women's rights and, pro-choice, pro-life and all that, we care about our women, but our paid maternity leave is one of the weakest in the world, dude. Like the UK, certain parts of Europe, even South America, like Argentina, I think Chile, they have way better paid maternity leave. My wife is coming up on like the 12th or 13th week that she's finally getting off. Thank God she's a federal employee, so she gets 12 weeks of paid vacation, leave. But that's not the case for non-federal employees, people who work for the private industry. It's just crazy because I can't imagine baby being 3 months old and, dropping her off to like a daycare because she's still almost as helpless. Now she could be a little more vocal. She could kind of hold her head up a little bit, but still a baby, dude. And the fact that you would have to, drop her off to daycare is wild. But, thank God. I was able to take 4 weeks off, so I'm going to be with her, but I just want to share my thoughts, man, because I don't know, I'm just disappointed. You'd think the US would be a little bit better in that field.
Ooh, yeah, that was good. Like, I mean, we spend all this effort, right, on women's rights and feminism and all this stuff where I don't see anything. I don't see any protest or anything like that for, getting maternity leave for new moms. Like, where's the fight for that, right? So I look at that and I'm saying, okay, if we had the backing, we had the right, and we had, the correct people in government to help our new moms and help our new parents to get some sort of paid leave for that, not only I think will that entice newer couples to maybe start having kids earlier, because we are struggling with that right now as a nation. We're seeing couples have kids a lot later in life because due to finances and the cost of living and how expensive it is. Now, one thing that I really learned from all of this, especially that the clip before this one, where the guy's talking to, his workplace, is that's what's so incredibly important about managing your money, is having what's called like FU money, right? Now, it's a lot harder to get there at this current situation in life because, like I said earlier, like, you are young. You haven't had the time, to really start earning enough income to get yourself set up in a spot financially to where you can say, screw it, I'm taking 12 weeks or a year off of work. Now, maybe some people can if they really buckle down and have a good income and live in a lower cost of living area. Like, there's got to be a lot of things going for you in today's economy. But that's not the norm for most people. It really isn't. So I would love to see something change, to see, like, if you have a job and you're holding a job currently, that the government will pay the company that money in order to have the mom and dad have a certain amount of an allotted time, I would say a minimum of 12 weeks, to spend with their new kid. I really do. And I hate to see that most couples have to be double income earners because of the amount of money and how expensive everything is, the amount of money that's been pumped into this economy over the past 5 years, not even the past 5 years, just how much money keeps getting printed in this country, which is increasing the prices across the board for everything, and wages aren't keeping up. So we got to see something change here.
So today is my last day of maternity leave, and I go back to work tomorrow. And I just feel like I haven't had enough time with them. I know I got longer than a lot of women get with 3 months, but it just doesn't, I just don't feel ready.
I had a very high-risk pregnancy because they shared a placenta. They were 5.5 weeks premature. We were in the NICU for several weeks, so you kind of feel a little robbed of that postpartum experience, and that does not get accounted into your maternity leave.
It's just like such an abrupt change that you're with your babies all the time, and then you pick them up from daycare and you might just get a few hours.
I just felt like so disconnected to them. I would get emotional. I would just like cry, like they're gonna forget me, or I would come home from work and like feel like they forgot me because they didn't like smile right away when they saw me, and I know they like didn't, but it's really hard to convince yourself that they don't.
I also love my career. I am proud of what I do, but there's always that mom guilt of you're not giving enough time to your kids.
There was the most visceral response from the stay-at-home moms, and it was far from supportive. Somebody else is going to raise your baby. How could you leave these babies? Save some money and stay home. You can make it work. Great that you can stay home, to each their own. I would have loved to prolong my maternity leave and maybe go back part-time, but that's just not our financial situation. And I don't think that's the average American woman's family situation either. We both have student loans, we have a mortgage, we have 3 mouths to feed. I hold the health insurance for our family. We just live in a world in America where, fortunately or unfortunately, however you want to think about it, most people are 2-income families. And Times are tough. This whole pandemic and inflation, it's difficult. So many people from so many other countries chiming in with their maternity and paternity leaves are. A lot of the European countries and Canada are 12 plus months for women. That's kind of more like the message I would love to talk about and get across, is that could be a lot better in our country.
I just feel so honored to be their mom and to have gotten the past 3 months with them.
Man, if there's one video where, I get not emotional, but just emotional, I would say it's something like this, man. I hate seeing that. Here's a story, right? So I remember, this was about 8 years ago, when my wife and I were both still working, had our jobs, dual income family, and we had our son. Now, my wife did have a little bit of maternity leave. I didn't get much leave, but I did have some. I also took some time off unpaid, just because I wanted to stay home with my wife, who had a C-section and needed help, and I have a newborn, at the house. And so I remember whenever he was a little older, and we had to put him into daycare. I think he was 6 months old, 7 months old. And I still remember to this day, I'll never forget it, dropping him off at the daycare, him crying because he didn't want to leave dad. And I remember being in my truck driving to work, and I remember crying. I do, I did. I'll admit it. I don't care. I'm a little bit of a crier. I'll say that, especially when it comes to my kids and my family. But I would cry. I would cry going to work, and I'm like, this is not how it's supposed to be. Now, I think that's one of my biggest driving factors of who I am today, and what I represent is helping the modern day family become better with their finances, because I remember that feeling, right? I remember being in that predicament of driving to work, having my son crying for me, leaving daycare, being like, why in the hell am I having to put myself through this, and my son and my wife? I hated it. I hated every single time I had to drop him off. And I just feel like that can be prevented at such a young age if we had something set up for our younger couples, our younger families, to be able to stay home longer with your kids. And in the meantime, I also would love to see younger families killing it with their money and their finances, so that if one of the parents wants to stay home, I know you guys get me in the comment section all the time, not every woman wants to stay home. I get that. But a lot of the women I talk to in my everyday life do want to stay home with their kids, but they can't because of how expensive it is to raise a family in America today. So that's why I want to see people killing it with money, so if they want to, they can choose to spend more time with their kids and their family. Because that's ultimately what's most important in life.
Fair. That's not fair! That is not fair!
Can anyone name anything more depressing than the conversation with HR when you are having a baby in America? The last thing I want to talk about when I'm pregnant is how little of time I get off and going back to work. I work for a company that is run by women, which I am so proud of. Our CEO is a woman, our COO is a woman, our CFO is a woman, and almost every employee in this business is a woman. So you would think that we would have a decent maternity package, but we don't. We get 6 weeks. 6 weeks of FMLA, so short-term disability, and then anything after that is either unpaid or unused PTO. I am not at all blaming the company I work for, because this is very standard across the board in the United States, but it's just, I dealt with this with my first, and we're dealing with it again with the second. It just blows my mind that women are expected to go back to work after 6 weeks. 6 weeks after having their child. But that's America, that's the world we live in, and I'm just gonna have to get over it, and it'll be fine.
I'll say it here, guys. To all my viewers, I am an advocate for the government paying for paid maternity and paternity leave. I'm fine with the men not getting nearly as much as the women. I think that's probably fair. That's just how it is. That's my beliefs. Like, obviously, you guys may, well, the man should have, but you know, whatever. Like, whatever your beliefs are, that's what you have. But that's mine, and I'm here to express them. Right? It's my channel. I say what I want. But no, seriously, guys. Like, I really would love to see a change. I want to see the status symbol, the main sought after thing in America to be that standard American family living. Because to me, guys, the most important thing, ultimately, is your family.